Hey everybody, this is Joe Price. So in this video, I'm going to be demonstrating to you how to build effective mob auto farms. Now in 1.3, it's actually pretty challenging to build good mob auto farms for a number of reasons. Number one is there are a lot of enemies now that can do a lot of damage to you, and especially the Biome Mimics. They can pass through walls and they do a ton of damage. They also have a ton of life as well. We also have the Skeleton Merchant. When he appears, he can spawn anywhere in the underground. When he appears, he basically kills the spawn rate. So that's a major problem. And we have some other challenges as well. With Expert Mode, the mobs have a lot more life, which means that temple traps are not that great anymore, especially given the nerfs to some of the temple traps. The spear traps, for instance, no longer do any critical hits. And of course, we have our usual mob farming issues to solve, such as how to diversify the drops. We want to ideally generate a wide variety of drops, such as all 5 biome keys, souls of light and night, be able to get drops from all 3 of the biome mimics, so on and so forth. And of course, the other major issue is how do we collect all of these drops? There's a 400 item limit in the world. We can't let the drops accumulate, otherwise they're going to start disappearing, so that's always an issue. Well, fortunately, there are some really good ways of solving some of these problems. And one of these approaches is an approach that, well, I feel is actually the most effective currently in 1.3. Now, this is an approach that was actually initially suggested by a TMEC forum member by the name of Thinner. He actually suggested this sometime in August. And it was an approach to eliminate damage from mobs and bosses. So it's basically a damage prevention machine. Now, I featured another one of his suggested damage prevention machines in my previous videos, but this is the first time I'm going to be showcasing the second damage prevention machine that he suggested. So the second damage prevention machine utilizes the slime saddle. Now, the slime saddle, when you jump on an enemy, when you hit an enemy with it, of course it does damage to the enemy, but more importantly, it generates some invincibility frames. 6 frames are generated every time an enemy is hit. So if we can find a way of actually continuously hitting something, then we will stay invincible throughout. Now, fortunately, we have dummies that can do that job. If we bounce up and down on the dummies, we'll be able to generate continuous invincibility. Now, this is so long as we have some sort of ceiling directly above us, and that ceiling should be either 3 or 4 tiles away from the top of the dummies. So this is basically how it works. We hop on, and we just keep hitting the dummies over and over, and we stay in an invincible state throughout. Now, just to demonstrate that, I'm just going to summon a skeleton and a bat here. Skeleton will get hit, the bat will pass through us, will do no damage to us, and of course the slime is doing a lot of damage here and kills those mobs pretty quickly. Now, this particular approach is effective for 3 reasons. So number one is it provides that much needed invulnerability, especially against mimics. Number 2, it's a really good way of just killing mobs. If we have a way of teleporting the mobs into a player chamber where the mobs will end up directly below the slime, that means we'll be able to kill those mobs fairly quickly because of how damaging the slime can be. And number 3, well, if we compact all of the mobs into this small chamber where the player is, then the player will collect all of the drops as well. So perfect. This kind of approach. Again, full credit for Thinner for suggesting this particular damage prevention machine. Now, just a quick note about the damage that this slime does. This is summon damage, which means that it's modified by all of the armors and accessories that boost either regular damage or summon damage. Case in point, right now I have the full Stardust set equipped, but if I swap that out, notice how the damage drops to 67. Yeah, so I'm in endgame gear here, but even if we're mid-hard mode, for instance, the slime can still do like 40, 50, 60 damage. Still phenomenal. especially given the rate at which the slime will be hitting the enemies. Now, in addition to the slime damage, we can add a layer of lava at the bottom. Lava does not compete with the slime for damage. It does extra damage. And we can even summon some minions. Now, summoning at least one minion will be necessary because during farming, sometimes mobs will get stuck above the slime where the player is. The mimics tend to hang around exactly where the player is. So therefore, having just one minion will be enough for us to be able to kill all the mobs. Alright, so let's not delay any further. Let's go check out this farm. And I'm actually going to show you two versions of the farm. The first one is a fully tricked out version that will take quite a while to build if you choose to do so. And the second version is the base build, the minimum that's necessary to get this thing up and running and already start farming effectively for various drops and various gear as well. So if you choose to check out the farm first by downloading the Ultimate World, again, check the description box for the download link, then just enter C0 in the teleporter hub and you'll be teleported there. So let's check out the tricked out version first, and in the next segment I'll show you the base version. I'll actually build the base version from scratch so you can see exactly how it's done. Alright, so here is the farm. Now I'm going to mount the slime, and the rightmost lever will send me into the farm. But first I'll summon a Sharknado to keep me company. And yeah, here we go. I'll just pull down, and I'm bouncing off the dummies, and thus I'm going to be invulnerable from this point onwards. Oh, I got a mimic already. Now, as you can see to my immediate right, there are a bunch of hoik teeth here that propel the enemies directly into my slime, and of course into the lava as well. Now there's a teleporter here that teleports in all of these enemies, and all three segments of the teleporter have been hammered so that well, hammered into hoik teeth to help push the mobs directly below the slime. As you can see, the mobs are being killed fairly quickly here. Now the actual spawn surface is to my far right. Enemies will spawn anywhere between 62 to 84 tiles to the left or to the right of player position. Now the spawns have been blocked to the left here, so it's the spawn surfaces to the right. That's where all of the enemies are spawning. So let's check that out. I'm just going to go into free chem mode. This is a TMech community mod that I featured in my previous videos. I'll be using this to showcase the farming here. So let me just enable the free cam mode. Here it is. And that way you can see what's going on. Now, the spawn surfaces here, there are actually quite a number of them, because one of the features I added to this farm is a surface selector. Now, at the very bottom, we have a crimson surface, and then we have a corruption surface, then a hallowed surface, then mushroom, then ice or snow, then jungle, desert, marble, and granite. So quite a number of surfaces, and we are able to generate quite a number of quite a variety of mobs as well. So if we take a look at all the banners that I hung up, let me exit from free cam mode. Yeah, right here we see that there are 44, 45 different enemies that can spawn in this particular farm. Now, hidden from view here are 200 corruption blocks and 200 crimson blocks. So this means I can collect souls of night. As you can see, I've collected quite a number of souls of night already, 44 of them. And I can collect the different biome keys as well. The crimson corruption biome keys, also jungle, and snow biome keys as well, or frozen bio keys as well. I can't collect any hallowed keys, and I can't collect souls of light, because any hallowed blocks would just cancel out with the crimson and corruption blocks. Now, this particular farm is actually mirrored to my left, because the left side is specifically for Souls of Light and for Hallowed Keys, in addition to the Hallowed Mimics. Now there are some switches that are directly above me. The green switch is the one that teleports me to the farm on the left. And when it does that, yeah, it basically allows me to start farming, and the spawn surface is now to my left. It's been completely mirrored. This entire farm has been completely mirrored here. Yeah, that turtle is kind of unfortunate that he ended up in that position, but whatever. We're not going to be worried about individual mobs here. Yeah, so popping out of free cam mode here. Notice I start to collect Souls of Light now. Collected 5 already. And yeah, the mimics, the Hallowed Mimics can spawn here, and we can of course get the Hallowed Keys as well. Yeah, so that particular switch, it just allows us to teleport back and forth depending on which keys and which souls we wish to collect. Now, there are some levers to my left here. There's an up arrow and a down arrow, and there are some torches here that are lit on the both sides of certain colors in this particular column. So this is the Biome Selector. Now currently we have torches lit up around the white block here. So that indicates that we're currently farming the snow biome surface. If we pull the lever that corresponds to the up arrow, then we'll switch to the mushroom surface. That's the blue one. If we pull it again, we'll switch to, this is orange, so this corresponds to the Hallowed Biome. And just to check that out, just to my right here, yeah, notice how it's the Hallowed Biome that has now been deactuated, whereas all of the other spawn surfaces are actuated into the background. Yeah, so pull it twice more. So the next one we had Corruption, that's purple, and the red is Crimson Surface. Yeah, notice how we got a one of the mimics to spawn here. Let's check which one it is. Corrupt Mimic. Yeah, so our summoned minion will take care of that. This is a problem with the mimics. They actually hover exactly where the player is, so they avoid getting hit by the slime. But no worries, having just one minion will kill that mimic in no time. Now, some of these surfaces unfortunately spawn stationary enemies. So let's take a look at an example of that. So if I switch to the Corruption surface, yeah, notice here's problem number one. We have these clingers that spawn on the surface, and they'll never reach the player. And we'll need to, of course, find a way to actually kill them off. Now, fortunately, we can use either dart traps or, in my case here, spiky ball traps, and those can be activated through the switch that's directly above me, color-coded yellow. And when I pull that, yeah, it begins sending spiky balls into this chamber on my far right. And there's a timer that turns on, this 1 second timer, which means we'll get continuous spiky balls being deposited in that particular chamber. Yeah, so this way, any of those clingers will just be killed off by the spiky balls. Also problematic is the mushroom surface. So here's the mushroom surface, and we see this is one of the problem spawns, the fungi bulbs, and also the giant fungi bulbs. Now the giant fungi bulbs will be killed off. Any of these bulbs that don't quite reach the spiky balls, they're so far away that they eventually despawn. As you just saw on screen, it ended up despawning. So that's the way to deal with those enemies. And of course, if we switch to the jungle surface, just like that, the jungle has the most biome-specific enemies, but some of these enemies, like the Snatchers, they're also rooted and thus the spiky balls will be necessary to kill them off. The problem with using traps is that they don't actually count towards the player kill totals, so you can't earn banners from them, which means that if you're not using one of these biome surfaces to spawn enemies that are rooted, then it's just best to churn off these spiky balls. And again, just pulling the switch associated with the yellow block will churn off all of the spiky traps. So we'll just switch to the hallowed surface, and I'll just continue some of the farming there. I'll have to get rid of that fungi bulb. Yeah, so there we have it. Very effective. We're completely safe in this setup. Nothing can hit us. And as you can see, we're collecting the vast majority of the drops. Of course, some of the drops will end up falling over on the far right here. If I'm using the spiky balls to kill off the rooted enemies, then of course there's no choice there. But hey, it doesn't really matter. The vast majority of drops will be collected in the player chamber, and that's ultimately what counts. And plus some of the really strong drops, like the mimic drops, we'll be collecting them every time. Yeah, so let's actually switch over to just over here to do some farming on the light side. And over on this side, hidden from view, are 100 blocks of pearlstone, just to make sure that we can enable the Soul of Light drops and enable the Hallowed Mimics to spawn. Yeah, so this is the basic setup here. And there are also some signs that we can bring up, basically tell you what all the colors mean in the surface selector. And the other sign just tells you what the overhead switches are for. So I mentioned what the green and yellow switches were. The red switch just teleports us out of this farm back to the starting chamber. Now, I managed to collect all of the banners. The banners, they definitely affect the damage that our minions deal and that the slime deals. It doesn't boost the damage that the spiky balls deal, though. So as we farm, of course, if you build this farm and you start farming and you don't have any banners yet, the moment that you acquire banners, you should put them right up. So that way you can increase the damage that you're doing to the mobs. Now there's one other neat feature of this farm. So again, let me teleport back here. Let me teleport out. So yeah, this is how we can exit. And the middle lever just sends us back home. And yeah, we've got tons of drops here. Let me just sell off most of these. Now, there's just one more thing that I wanted to showcase in that particular farm, and that is how to automate the entire process. Like I said, it's a tricked out farm, so I have ways of actually jumping back and forth between the dark side and the light side, and also periodically and automatically changing the biome surfaces. So yeah, let's head back and let me showcase how the automated switching works. So there's a lever on the left here that will send a dummy ghost into this Hoik track, and it'll turn on a pair of timers and it'll begin a timer cascade. Okay, so let's do that. And let's teleport in. Okay, now you see a pair of timers that are lit up at the top. This is part of a timer cascade. It keeps shifting to the right, and then it'll just jump all the way to the left and begin again. Once we get all the way to the end, we'll be automatically teleported from the dark side to the light side. And along the way, the Biome Selector will switch as well, and I'll enable the spiky balls here. Yeah, we saw here the biome just changed into corruption, and in a few seconds we'll be automatically teleported to the light side. Yeah, there we go. Automatically teleported. And this timer cascade, it's set for 90 seconds. So every 90 seconds, I get teleported from the light to the dark, or from the dark to the light side. And every 90 seconds, the biome surface changes. It'll progress through all of the different biome surfaces. Yeah, so pretty neat features here. And this can be left overnight, and you can collect tons of drops. Of course, the inventory fills up pretty quickly here. It's a bit unfortunate, but hey, it's a really good way of farming a lot of the drops if you periodically pop out and sell off the gear. Yeah, if we take a look at some of the things that we've collected already, well, we managed to get a frozen key, and of course we pick up a lot of the banners as well. Okay, we'll let this cycle one more time. We're almost at the end of our 90 minutes. And again, we'll see the biome switch. Oh, it just switched from corruption to crimson, and we're about to get teleported right back to the dark side. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so just continues like that. If we want to enable this automatic farming mode, switching from light to dark and switching all of the different biome surfaces. Yeah, so pretty neat stuff. Again, I encourage you to check it out. Download the world. You can do some farming here. Just be careful about a couple of things. Before you teleport into this chamber, just make sure that you mount the slime first. And if you want to use any minions, summon them before you actually drop onto the dummies. For some reason, if I were to use some sort of weapon here, if I were to try to summon minions, I would fall off the dummies and I would start getting hit by the various mobs. Alright, so I guess that's enough farming. Let's teleport out. Dismount. And yeah, let's teleport back to home base. Again, we missed some drops here because of the spiky balls, but that's really not a big deal considering how much we are picking up from the other mobs that teleport into the player chamber. Alright guys, so that's the end of this first showcase, the tricked out version of this farm. So in the next segment, I'll be showcasing the bare bones minimum, and I'll actually be building it from scratch just to show you how it's done. Alright guys, so we'll see you in the next segment. Alright, so next, let's take a look at how we do the base build. Once the base build is finished, we can of course add additional features to improve our farm further. So I'm just going to show you what is the minimum that's required to generate already an effective farm. Now the first thing we want to do is clear away a lot of blocks, create a nice open area, and put some lava down at the bottom just to block all of the spawns. We want to block the spawns not only during construction, but of course once we finish the farm, we want to make sure that the spawns will only occur on our designated spawn surfaces. So there are some numbers that are very important to keep in mind. Relative to player position in the farm, spawns will not occur beyond 84 tiles to the left and to the right, and they won't occur beyond 48 tiles at the top and bottom. This means that we should construct this open space, or create this open space, that is at least 168 tiles wide. More is better, just to give us a bit of flexibility. And that is 96 tiles tall. Again, more is better. And to clear away all of these rocks, we could of course use a pickaxe, or better yet, we can use some dynamite, or we can use some bombs just to make the job go a little bit faster. But this is probably the most time-consuming part, to create this nice large open area. It's also a good idea to have minions with you. As you can see, they can take care of any wayward spawns, and that way you can focus on construction. Now of course I'm using endgame gear here, but even if we just use regular minions from early hard mode, or mid-hard mode, they're going to do the job fairly well. And of course I'm using the UFO infinite flight, but if we're constructing this farm early hard mode, then of course we can just put down a whole bunch of platforms and move around that way. Alright, next, let's talk about what equipment, or at least what materials we're going to need. Of course, all the wrenches, some wire as well. Keep in mind, you can now put wire in the ammo slot. Save some inventory space here. We're going to need some building blocks. The spawn surface that I'm going to put down here is actually going to be the crimstone blocks. And we're going to need some platforms, teleporters, some pressure plates, just one bucket of lava, some torches just to make sure that there's enough light so we can see what we're doing. We're going to need some levers as well. We're going to need 2 dummies and a water candle at the very end. We'll place that in order to improve spawn rates. We're going to need some actuators too. And the actuators, they're going to be used to put the teleporters into the background. Now, once we've cleared away all of this area, if we ever want to start building something in the middle here somewhere, the ice rod is pretty convenient for that. Normally you can't put down any blocks, but if you put down the ice block but using the ice rod first, then of course we can attach other blocks to it like that. So really convenient. Alright, let's begin building. So I'm going to focus on the player platform first, and let me actually get rid of these blocks because mobs can actually spawn on them. By the way, just a quick note about spawn rules. Mobs can spawn, or at least the spawn can initiate in midair. The spawn, however, manifests itself on the first available surface directly below, unless it's covered with lava, in which case the spawn is blocked. That's why even if you place down 1 block, that's actually good enough for a spawn event to take place. Alright, so without those blocks, I still have it marked off with torches where those blocks need to be placed, so we'll place them there a little bit later. Alright, so we don't actually need these guys anymore, and I don't need that thing hovering on my back, so I'll take it off. So the first thing we're going to do is place our dummies. So we're going to need that to bounce off them using our slime saddle. And I build a player box here. And just so that we can conveniently enter this place, we are going to put down a teleporter, and we'll actually teleport directly in. And this just means having to raise this a little bit. Alright. Next up, we'll actuate this teleporter. We of course need to do that in order to ensure that when we're going to teleport into this little chamber, the teleporter is not actually blocking our access to the dummies below. Alright, so that has been actuated. We don't need the actuators anymore. We don't need those wires. Alright, so that's taken care of. And it's a good idea to make this at least 2 blocks thick. Alright, so next up, we're going to put down our hoiks so that once we start teleporting the mobs in here, they're going to be hoiked directly to where we are positioned with our slime saddle. Alright, so put down that. Alright, and we'll start hammering away just to create our slopes. Oops. There we go. Put down a few more layers. we need a fairly large Hoik region, because when these mobs teleport, they can teleport from quite a distance from the teleporter itself. And that way we want to make sure that when they do teleport in here, that they'll definitely be hoiked into the region directly below player position. Let me just add some light here as well. Alright, now this is something that some people sometimes don't know about, and that is you can actually hammer the 3 segments of the teleporter. So I'll create hoiks here, so the teleporter will help. Alright. Yeah, it's just a lot of tedious work here, but once this part is done, the rest should go pretty quickly. Alright, so that's good enough. And we'll just put down a teleporter here. And this will be our way to get inside the box. Alright, so let's test this out. Oops. Slime saddle. And teleport inside. And yeah, there we go. Alright, so that's working well. Just raw it out of here. Alright, so that part's done. So up next, let's build the spawn surface and the teleporters for the mob so they can teleport into this region. Let me just equip the this thing right here, and just use the ice rod just to put down some blocks. Alright. So like I said, we'll be summoning some crimson mobs in our farm. And yeah, that's all we need. That particular spawn service. Alright, so the next order of business is to put down some teleporters. Actually, just get rid of this. Oops. So here we're just going to alternate the teleporters and the pressure plates, and we'll be actuating the teleporters as well. This way any mobs here that spawn, that travel in this direction towards the player, they'll inevitably hit at least one of these pressure plates. And these pressure plates will be connected to all of the teleporters as well. Alright, so let's place that. And one more platform. Yep. Alright, so next let us actuate these 3 teleporters. And then we'll end up removing these actuators. Alright, so that's that. They're all actuated. And let's hook this all up. So what I'm going to do here is pass this wire through every one of these pressure plates, hook it up to all of the teleporters as well, and then extend this wire all the way to the teleporter that's right next to our kill chamber here. Yeah, just like that. So the whole logic behind that, just kill this guy inside here. The reason why I connect all of these teleporters together is because the way that this works in Terraria is if you have 3 or more teleporters that are connected, the teleporter that you depart from, you always end up in the teleporter that's the furthest away by wire distance. So basically the teleporter that's our destination teleporter inside this kill chamber, it's the furthest by wire than any of these other teleporters. So this way, no matter which of these teleporters are activated by the mobs will always end up inside here. And there's fairly minimal chances of any kind of back teleport. See, I teleported inside. Minimal chances of any back teleports simply because the hoiks, they operate fairly quickly in depositing the mobs within that kill chamber. Alright, so we're almost done here as far as the base build is concerned. And let's just get rid of this mob. And the only thing left is just to put down a small layer of lava just at the very bottom. And this is good to do. Yeah, just like that. Good to do because, hey, it adds to the damage. It's not going to destroy any of the drops because you're going to be collecting all of the drops before they have a chance to drop in lava. And plus, it's only the coins and hearts that would get destroyed anyways. Alright, so one last thing. We'll just put down the candle here. So put down a wooden platform and put down a water candle to increase the spawn rates. And there we have it. So this is our base build, and the only thing left is just to enter the chamber and begin the farming process. So I'll just switch to my slimy saddle, saddle up, teleport inside, and yeah, begin the farming process. Alright, so I'm just going to go into free cam mode so you can see the spawns taking place here. And yeah, it's working pretty well. So I'll just get rid of the Sharknadoes, just to show you that we can kill everything off just using the slime saddle and the lava. Yeah, sometimes the mobs will get stuck up here with me. Eventually they'll die, but this is one of the reasons why it is convenient to use at least one minion so that it can whittle down any of these enemies that do get stuck. Now, the problem is if I cast something now, it'll probably knock me out. Yeah, I barely survived there. Okay, but at least I've got a minion. Yeah, any minions, they should really be summoned before we enter that chamber. Yeah, so there we have it. So the next step would be to add some biome blocks so that we can enable the drop of the dungeon biome keys. It would also be a pretty good idea to put some walls around the spawn surface, just to the left and to the right, just to prevent things from jumping off, just like you saw there. And it's also a good idea to add one dart trap, I should say, from just pre-hard mode, and that way any of the mimics that spawn on the surfaces, they can be hit by the dart traps. If you don't put down a dart trap, as you just saw, the mimic will eventually despawn. Yeah, so that's another addition that we could make to this base build. Of course, when it comes to some of the biome mimics, we'll enable their spawns by putting down either 200 corruption blocks or 200 crimson blocks or 100 hallowed blocks. But you have to be careful because the hallowed blocks, they actually cancel out with crimson or corruption blocks. So either you do this farm in duplicate, you do the mirror image of it just the way I demonstrated in my previous farm, or you take your pick as far as whether you want to go for the hallowed drops or crimson and corruption drops. Alright guys, so I'll bring this video to an end. I'll make the schematics available both for the base build and for my tricked out build that I demonstrated in the previous segment. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to do the tricked out build, or at least how to construct some of the components in the tricked out build, how to do cascade timers, and how to do multi-surface selectors, and how to attach that to the timer cascades as well. Alright guys, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the mob farming underground, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.